In the summer of 1977, a group of young Girl Scouts arrived at Camp Scott in Oklahoma for what should have been one of the happiest experiences of their childhood. The days were meant to be simple: campfires, singing, friendship, sleeping under the stars. A memory they would carry for the rest of their lives. But before the camp session even had a chance to settle into routine, something dark was already waiting in the shadows. 3 girls would never make it home. Their names were Lori Lee Farmer, Michelle Goose, and Doris Denise Milner. They were just children, and by the next morning, they would become the center of one of the most disturbing unsolved crimes in American history. Camp Scott was supposed to be safe. It was a place where parents trusted that their daughters would be protected, a place where counselors watched over the tents, a place where the biggest worry was homesickness, not danger. But on the night of June 12, 1977, something went terribly wrong. Somewhere inside Tent 8, while the camp slept, the girls were attacked and murdered. By sunrise, the story of that quiet Oklahoma camp had changed forever, and the horror was only beginning. When investigators arrived, they discovered a scene that raised more questions than answers. There had been signs that something was off even before the murders. A warning note had been found at the camp, threatening that 3 girls would be killed. Think about that for a moment. A note, a warning, and still, no one could stop what was coming. That detail would haunt the case for decades, because it suggested that someone knew what was about to happen, or wanted people to believe they did. Either way, the fear had already entered the camp before the murders were even discovered. The search for answers led police toward a man named Gene Leroy Hart. Hart was not just a random suspect. He was already known to authorities. He had a violent criminal history. He had escaped custody, and investigators believed he could have been the person responsible for the murders. He quickly became the face of the case. A manhunt followed. The investigation grew larger. The pressure grew heavier, and the state of Oklahoma watched as one of its worst nightmares turned into a national headline. But even with the suspect in focus, the case never became simple. Hart was brought to trial. The courtroom became the center of attention. Families waited. The public waited. The evidence was examined. The theories were argued. And then in the end, the results stunned many people. Gene Leroy Hart was acquitted. That single outcome changed everything. For some, it meant the wrong man had been accused. For others, it meant justice had slipped away. And for the families of the girls, it meant the pain would continue without closure. Because an acquittal is not an answer. It is only a pause in the story. As the years passed, Camp Scott became more than a location. It became a symbol of lost innocence, a symbol of fear ignored, a symbol of how quickly trust can turn into tragedy. People kept asking the same questions. Who really did this? Why were the warning signs not taken more seriously? Could the murders have been prevented? And if the answer was somewhere in the evidence, why had it remained hidden for so long? That is what makes this case so haunting. It is not just the brutality of what happened. It is the silence around it, the emptiness left behind, the feeling that a piece of the truth is still missing. Over time, investigators revisited the case. Forensic methods improved. DNA testing entered the picture. New hope appeared. But even with modern science, the mystery refused to fully disappear. No final explanation, no complete closure, no undeniable ending. Just a case that continued to sit there, unresolved, like an open wound. And that is why the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders still matter today. Not only because of what happened in 1977, but because the fear of unanswered crime never really belongs to the past. It lives on. In the families, in the investigators, in the public memory, and in every person who hears the story and wonders how 3 innocent girls went to camp and never came back. The truth is that some stories do not need exaggeration to feel terrifying. This one already is. 3 girls, 1 summer camp, 1 warning that was not enough, and a mystery that still refuses to let go. This is the story of the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders, a case that began in innocence and ended